one thing I notice people do in my area is they'll get a job and they'll stop. They'll just, okay, I'm going to do this this editing job, you know? And it's like, okay, but have you really thought this through? I mean, even if you negotiated a big fee, how's it being paid out? What's your cash flow going to look like? And what will happen if you stop marketing your services and then you get the final payment? You're going to be 2 months until the next job. So understanding
Yes.
that, getting ahead of myself and saying, when are these checks going to come in? How much am I spending each month? Just getting in the numbers. It was uncomfortable. I know no one likes to do it, and you don't have to do it when you have a salary. But once you get good at that, you develop this intuitive sense of, I better take on another project. And by the way, this also ties into authors, because we talked about platform. One of the most common things is they'll come and say, I'm going to do the book. The book obviously is going to make me famous. But even if I don't have a platform, once I sell the book with your help and the proposal, then I'll build the platform. And I say to them, I was like, let's think this through. You sell the book to Penguin Random House, some imprint, give you a nice big check in March. They're going to give you, let's say, 9 months, sometimes less. During that 9 months, you're going to be writing the book. Even if you hire me, you're going to be busy writing the book, editing the book, responding, meeting. When are you going to start a blog and make it successful? It can take years to pivot and figure out where the audience is and kind of grow to a substantial number. You're going to do that while you're writing your first book? It doesn't make any sense. If anything, when I've seen people who have a big platform, they have millions of YouTube followers or whatever, it often, if anything, goes dark. It gets flat. They start losing audience during that time because they're so focused on making an amazing book. So if anything, your platform is going to be worse than it was when you begin the process of writing it. So it's the last time to start finding your audience once you've sold the book.
If only there was a guy who could help them write that book, right?
Yeah, but even with my help, you have no business trying to grow a platform when your book is being written. It's just a very consuming, creative process. And it's very fast. Get your platform in order before you sell it. And like I said, start selling your next project while you're working on the current project. Don't wait till you're halfway through or you're finished, because it takes time, to bring in new leads, and you don't want to have to take the first one that comes in the door. So that's why I'm always, like I said, aggressive. I'm always reaching out, always trying to line up more work.
Yeah. A big part of the message of this podcast and the concept is I'm teaching my kids how to be successful. And so when I choose a guest, I'm being very, very thoughtful about it. And part of the reason why I brought you on is because I know that family and having balance and having enjoyment in your life is so critical to what you've set up, right? So what have you done to make sure that you make time for the things that matter most in the midst of reaching out and getting all these new customers?
Well, one thing I very much limit is deadline-driven work, because when there's a deadline, it doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter if one of my kids has a school event or if there's some special occasion, if the work needs to get done. The book proposal work I do is not deadline-driven. It is a creative process. It takes as long as it takes, and it is never an emergency. The only emergency I have is when I'm ghostwriting a book, and I limit that to one at a time for that reason, so that I'm never put in a position that I have to choose between my work and my family. This weekend we went away. I had work. There's a lot of work to do, but we needed that time. They're about to go back to school, and so I prioritized that. Also, using my time efficiently. I'm not in an office anymore, so I get up at 4:45. I'm at my desk at 8 o'clock, and I put in 3 hours before I do anything else, before I eat, before I do anything else. And so I know that even if the afternoon kind of goes scrambly, like right now they're home from camp and they're kind of running around and taking my son to the orthodontist and all that thing, I know that I got 3 hours in. That's kind of like a baseline, and it really brings my anxiety down. I know that I'm kind of making progress. So that's a huge part of it. It's just not being sloppy with my time, because it's very easy to let it go. I call it the discipline of the book. That's like my little catchphrase. It's like, whatever's going on, I got to get some words down on the book. Like, that's the first thing. I've got a word count to meet. That's my deadline. I've got to get some words down. Preferably I blow right past my word count minimum, so that I'm always kind of like getting ahead of it, always building up those savings. So we had a health crisis in the extended family. I was there for it because I had the buffer built in. And I'm always trying to basically save time the same way you save money, which I also tell your kids, if you're a freelancer, that's huge. You got to have reserves, got to have padding, but it applies to time as well. Get way ahead of those deadlines. I use a software to plot out how much I have to write every day based on the projects. And it lets me put in vacations and family trips and everything. And then it says you need to do X number of words a day. And
is that custom software or is that an app?
No, it's called Pacemaker.
Okay.
And it's just an app and you can use it to track editing, writing, any sort of ongoing goal. And it'll tell you how fast you have to go. And then I go ahead of that pace and I leave a nice buffer zone and I say put 5 days at the end because I've seen it all. You get sick, this thing happened, that thing, they travel. I'm always building buffers so that when things go south, I don't have to miss my daughter's, theater performance she had the other day that happened in the middle of the day.
Yes. Boy, there's so many phrases you just said there that are things that I say to people, that concept of building a time buffer, of avoiding sloppy time management. You have a start line to your day. Do you also have a finish line, a time of the day that you won't cross?
Yes, the beauty of that is that my mental reserves are exhausted before my temporal reserves are exhausted. There's never any day, and this isn't true of everyone, but there's never any day that I find myself at 5 o'clock being like, I got to keep going, 7 more pages. I'm wiped well before I need to go out. And so I will spend a chunk of the afternoon doing my admin, smaller tasks. But really the lion's share of the creative work is the 3 hours in the morning. And then if I'm lucky, 1 or 2 more hours in the afternoon, but I'm working. It's not like when I was in an office, which was a little more relaxed. This is, I'm getting words down. I am reading, I am writing, whatever needs to happen. I'm doing it during those hours.
Last question. What is that word count? What's your minimum word count per day?
On this project, with all of our vacations and everything, it's 500, something around 500 words a day. But I've been doing more like 1,000 because I know from experience that the more time I have left at the end, I can go back to the notes, build in more stuff, enrich it. It's so much easier to kind of fertilize and grow what you've already written than to just have blank pages and an outline. So I'm just trying to get to the point where I have a very rough first draft of everything.
And I take it you don't believe in writer's block.
Oh, of course I believe in writer's block. That's why I need to use all these tricks to cue myself. I don't leave myself any
That's how you force yourself
room.
past it.
Yes. What I do is if I can't do that thing, I do the thing before it. So if I can't write the chapter, I write the outline for the chapter. If I can't write an outline, I have like a pre-outline. So I always can find something in between that does feel small enough that I'm not in that state of like, I don't know what to do. Because I will get stuck forever if I let that happen.
If you liked this video and want to listen to the full episode, go to your favorite podcast app and subscribe to the Dave Crenshaw Success Project. You can also find all the full episodes at successproject.show.